Well, I can see that you've all woken up. Good. Okay, so what came out of your discussion? What are some of the things that you shared, some of the things that you learned? Yeah. It's now time for you to talk to me. Okay, I talked to you all morning. It's your turn. You're all of a sudden so quiet.
Dear Venerable, so I have good learning from my team. So basically, we just share on the first part. The key difference between loving and being attached is basically the focus. Whether the focus is on you, the person being loved, or I, meaning that are you doing for the person or are you doing for yourself? So there's one dimension of that. And on top of that, we also talk about intention. The intention, again, is whether focusing on the object, the person being loved or attached, or you. And very, very important part is the emotion. The emotion, whether there's a lot of emotion involved, that once the person is attached to the person, so they'll be thinking about the person emotionally, which is beyond their control at times. We also talk about the locus of control, whether they feel that they want to control what the person is doing. For example, we talk about children. So having a child, for example, we discuss whether they are playing too much games versus studying. So love means that you love the child and you explain to them that studying is good for them. Try. And if...
And when your parents did that to you, what happened?
We just say yes, but don't follow. Of course, we have the stick method, which is step 2. But anyway, going back into the loving and attachment is that we do respect the child's point of view. Maybe they need some time to relax before studying. So again, it's about understanding the person's way of doing things. So the intent could be good for them, but the method could be different. So maybe they feel that playing is a way of relaxation, whereas maybe we find that going to sleep is relaxation. So we are open to different method of doing things. But we also talk about the end result, talking about whether they feel that studying is important versus not important.
Okay. Let's move on and have some other people share, for you on a personal level, what really stuck out for you in this. Some people focused on how to be a good parent, but I'm sure some of you have some other ideas. Okay, if you don't talk to me, then I won't talk to you either. This is a two-way road.
Good afternoon, Venerable. Our group mentioned about the quality of exaggerating the quality of others when we have attachment. So in a sense that we attach to them because we list down a lot of good qualities of this person which might not be the truth, so we are attached to that. Then love is unconditional. That is our group come out. Then we also mentioned about the 4 immeasurable. the first verse of may all sentient beings have happiness, and the causes. So wishing the people to have happiness, and that is more of a loving kind of thing. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And what do you do when you have animosity towards somebody? Yeah, over here.
Good afternoon, Venerable brother and sister. I think our group agree the second point is so difficult. Yeah, it's really challenging to work with that animosity. But I think our group come up with a few good ideas. Okay, the first one maybe to think about from the karma perspective. Like maybe I had did the same thing or even worse to that person. So now it's ripening. Something like that. From the second ideas is maybe to see that we are all sentient beings still in the samsara, so we are not perfect. We are still trying to practice and become better. So we should all aim for the same goal to come out from the samsara. Yeah. So with that, we will not hold a lot of grudges because we are all imperfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, maybe for the another ideas is okay, like what Venerable has taught us in the morning, to think of those people that we had animosity during our prayers and visualizations. We find that when we are doing that, it really helps because when we can try to, it seems to be able to open up our hearts, soften it a bit more. Instead of holding to the grudges and hatred so much, it seems like we are able to have a bit of compassion. We still agree it's very difficult because of the hurt. Sometimes I think that I don't do anything, why you treat me like that? But still when we are doing that in our prayer, it kind of helps rather than we are so sucked in that negativity. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I think, when you imagine that person saying the recitations with you or bowing with you or whatever, you're thinking of that person in an entirely different way than you usually do. Yeah, and so that gives you room to think, oh, they can change. They have other aspects of their life besides this one event that happened where they harmed me.
Hi, Venerable. I think for me, how I think of number 2 is like this. If my child says to me, Papa, I hate you, which they do very often, the answer to me is very clear. I'm very convinced the answer is, I love you, right? That's easy for me.
Yeah.
Now, if someone a little bit older that lives with me says that to me, the answer is a lot harder for me to give, right? If a spouse says to me, I hate you, it's much harder for me to generate the love and to give back, because it's the first point, right? When someone is hateful towards me, it's very easy for me to be unattached to them and just be like, okay, you go do your own thing, I do my own thing. And then that's obviously not love, right? Love is generating unconditionally, independent of what the other person gives. So at least for these first 2 points, I know what the correct answer is, and I try and do it as much as possible. For the third point, I have a bit of a question, because I'm not convinced that on the one hand, I know that if I were to give up, the attachment to being correct, right, the attachment to being righteous and my ego, I know that I would be far more free and liberated. But I'm not convinced that, in a sense, that's a good thing, because if I give up my attachment to ego and reputation, then I feel that, let's say, work will suffer, right? If I let the other guy take credit, then I feel that at least for the things that we generally consider success or material success in this life, I feel that those things have to be given up, and I am not quite ready to do that yet. So what can you suggest?
Okay. I suggest go at your own speed, and really think about what benefit worldly success brings to you in the long term. You know, like you said, we may say, oh, somebody else got the promotion and I didn't get it, Then if we're attached to that promotion, we suffer. But if we look and, okay, that person got the promotion. What are they getting with the promotion? Okay, they may get a little bit more money, yeah, but then they also get to work 10-hour days. Yeah, for for very little extra money. They also have more people complaining about them. Because as you go up the ladder, more people complain about you. So, they often say, be careful of what you get jealous of, because you might get it. And then you might see how awful it is. Yeah? So, if you see getting the promotion or getting the credit at work as the thing that means you're a good human being, a worthwhile human being, boy, is that really your purpose on this planet? Is to meet the deadlines and fulfill the job description? If that's your purpose, what's going to happen when you retire? You're going to feel totally useless. Yeah? And all that status you gained while you were working is going to evaporate. Whereas if you have a different motivation for your work, and you're working to offer service to society, offer service to your colleagues, to your clients, to your customers, then when you see that people benefit from your work, you feel happy about that. Whether, you get a ton of praise and a gold star and a few extra dollars or not. Yeah? So you switch. What's your real indication of success? Because I find here in Singapore, people, think that money is your indication of success. And what is money? Yeah, it's a bunch of paper and ink. Isn't it? That's all it is. Why do we think that, that paper and ink indicates our value as a human being? That's not our human value. Yeah? There's many people who are quite wealthy who are totally miserable. And there's people who are quite poor who are very kind and content. Yeah, so we have to think really, what brings happiness and what brings pain. Many rich people, how do they get their money? They cheat, they deceive, they lie, they swindle. If you're paying any attention to U.S. politics, which you probably aren't, good for you, okay. You'll see that many of Trump's advisors and friends are facing prosecution for lying, for fraud, for concealing income and not paying taxes, for having offshore money accounts, maybe here in Singapore, I don't know. But, these people who were once regarded as rich and skillful and famous are now facing jail time. Yeah, they're facing time in prison. And their whole lives are falling apart. And for what? To get a little extra money, to have a little bit more power. And the money has evaporated. The government took, I think, 4 of the 4 houses of one of these guys that, he had purchased with illegal money. What's the sense of doing that? And you work so hard, you get a lot of money, but in the process, you've ignored your kids. Yeah, and then your kids have no sense of being loved. So then all your money has to go to send your kid to a psychotherapist. Yeah? It would be much better if your kids felt loved and if you spent time with your kids. No? And also, if you didn't pressure your kids so much about, what you were saying over here, like, get up and, learn to spell, do your homework, do this, do that. Oh, you didn't get 100%, you're going to be a failure in life. And if you're a failure, I'm a failure. Isn't it? Because all your friends are bragging about what their kids do, and then, you're left, oh, my child does nothing. Why? Because they flunked a spelling test in primary 1. And you're sure they have no future after that. I walk around Singapore. There's lots of playgrounds. I hardly ever see children playing in the playground. Yeah? They're all at tuition. And there are studies that say that when you let the children play, that then their creativity comes out. And they grow up to be more creative. They grow up to be happier individuals. Whereas if, as a parent, you're always sitting there pressing your thumb on this poor kid, it's like, whew. Think about it. In your next life, do you want to be reborn in Singapore? It's a rich country. It's a marvelous country. But do you want to be, have that over your head? Have a Singaporean parent that's always got, talking to you like a drill sergeant? Yeah, get up, do your homework, have you prepared, do this, do that. All the neighbors' kids are doing this. How come you're not doing it? You need to be a success in everything. Otherwise, your life has no purpose and no meaning. What are you teaching your kids? Are you teaching them how to be honest, how to be kind, how to be thoughtful, how to be good citizens? Yeah? Good citizens create a happy country. Yeah? And good citizens, aren't necessarily people who are money hungry. Yeah? They're people who look out for the good of the whole society. So isn't that more valuable for you? Isn't that more valuable for your kids? Okay. So I think parents need to relax. My goodness. You know, I first came to Singapore in 1987, and I compare then to now. My goodness, people are so stressed out now compared to then. Really. And what good does being stressed out do you? Okay, so please think about what's important in your life and what working for the good of the country needs. Yeah? Isn't it better to be an honest, kind citizen? Okay. So, we're going to take a short break. Very short. 12 minutes. It is now 11 minutes and 52 seconds. And then we're going to come back at 3 o'clock, and from 3 to 4, I'm going to continue with the 4 seals. Okay? So, short break.